I'm 59, so I'm heading towards 60. I never ever expected to be this age or even to reach this age, to be honest. And I'm quite happy to be here, and I intend to stay here as long as I can. And I think the carnivore diet is going to help me do that.
Hey there, carnivore enthusiasts. Adam here, and in this video, I chat with SIXX, a talented musician, and he's going to share his incredible results with the carnivore diet. You're going to get a killer carnivore soup recipe, a crazy story about cows and horses in the back of a truck, and a tale about a lightning quick team of butchers. All right. So today we have Sweet Six with us. I found this gentleman on YouTube. Uh, he was one of the suggested videos in my feed, and after the first time I watched it, I thought, "Oh my gosh, here's another guy that is just excited about this carnivore thing, this crazy thing that so many of us
Like
are
all
doing."
people.
Yeah, right. So, why don't we start with you, Six, sharing a little bit about yourself so we kind of get an idea for who you are.
I'm just an old musician. Um, I've been in promotion and musician all my life, and so I've been around music and publishing and marketing. That's pretty much all I've ever done, usually related directly with music. My wife and I now have an organization called Blues Against Hunger, and we raise food for people. Not always good food at that, I must say, but it is food for people that don't have food. And we do that using music. So that's our primary thing that we do. And then Sweet Six is my wife and I, that's our personal music that we do, which is, tends to be a little swingy and more Latinish because we live in Mexico. I should probably start with that.
Okay.
Um, and we have, we're just not, we get lazy. And we have, we do a lot of traveling and moving around and we eat horribly. And my wife, both of us have a background in fitness from when we were younger, and my wife was a fitness competitor, and we
Oh
both
wow, that's cool.
we got yeah, so we've been involved in it a long time, but then we got older and we got lazy and we got lazy and and then the problem is that once we started to go down that path, things got easier and once you start consuming all that stuff, um it just gets easier and easier to do, and then so we became very unhealthy. I was almost 300 pounds, to be honest.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, pretty bad. I had a heart attack, uh, all kinds of yeah, it wasn't good. A lot of bad stuff, and then what started happening was, um, depression and pain. Man, my pain is freaking through the roof. Not anymore though. That's the thing. That's why I'm excited. Like when you get so
Right.
excited, that is why I'm so excited. I have spent a lifetime, at least over 20 years now, um, in a lot of pain. I was run over by a car and, it crushed me. I was declared
Oh
dead,
my
broke
goodness.
broke both my knees, both my ankles, shattered my pelvis, crushed my sternum. I have no clavicle bone. It just kinda pops out right here. I was just crushed.
How long
Uh,
ago was that?
I was in my 20s.
Okay.
Oh, so a while ago, 25 years ago, más o menos, or give or take.
Right.
So I've been in a lot of pain. Fortunately, my wife, uh, as I mentioned, a fitness competitor and was involved in sports therapy and stuff. So she has been my personal therapeutic. They told me I'd never walk again, and my wife and I walked the entire peninsula, 850 miles to Cabo. Um, we did that. We did every time they said we couldn't do something, we would do it. Well, she's helped me through this pain, and
Oh my goodness.
but the problem is that it didn't wasn't enough. And we're musicians, we're low income, we don't have a lot too much to have, so we didn't always go to the doctor for this or that, we always and it was and I knew we knew what it was the damage to my body, and inflammation, and being fat, and being out of shape, but she would massage those points in my body and relieve me temporarily or to some extent, to get me through it. Well, the thing that sold me, man, after all this time is that I started the carnivore diet. I started watching. Dr. Berg and Sean Baker and all these guys on in YouTube. And
Mhm.
started and I wasn't really and my wife's like, "Forget it. I love my vegetables." You know, stupid idea, not doing it. How can anybody could just live off
Right.
it? But when you start thinking about it and you start using some common sense, and that's really kind of what it is. If you look back and you start comparing ourselves to our ancestors, and you start and you think, and we live in the desert, being in the in Mexico where we are, it's all desert. And when you go out into the desert, man, there ain't a single plant out there that doesn't have defense mechanisms, thorns and poison and everything. And
Stay
that's because
away.
yeah. And that's because they don't wanna be consumed. You know, they're out there, and when you're out there and everybody wants to get you, you it's just nature, it's biology, or it's what nature does. It creates protection for itself wherever. Even your body does it. That's why we have the white blood cells. That's why we have so many different things that protect us, our immune system. Well, we're not paying attention. I wasn't paying attention anyways. So, back to what I was saying is that I said, "I'm gonna do it anyways." My wife said, "That's fine. I'll follow along with you a little bit, but I'm still gonna do it." And she does to some extent, but not so much anymore because herself, even though she wasn't sold, is now becoming sold, and her vegetable and her fruit, everything is just falling to the wayside. She just does it periodically now. For
That's
me,
awesome.
I am completely sold. There is no turning back for me. I have never felt so good in my entire life, ever. I don't even know that I felt this good pre being run over, like, but I can tell you
Oh,
one thing.
man.
Yeah, I
That's
don't
that's incredible.
and you know what it is? It's inflammation. I'm so completely sold on it that it's because my joints and arthritis, and as a musician, I'm constantly holding one of these puppies right here and doing this. Well,
Right.
I'm gonna be 60 years old. I'm working my way up to 60. And, and keeping the arthritis out of your fingers, and which I used to get, that I
Mhm.
no longer even feel. I have nothing, nothing, nothing. And I
That's
used to feel
awesome.
it. This stuff right here, this cream, you
Uh-huh.
can see how my wife is still using it a little bit because she's still eating those veggies, I think. I'm working on her. But I'll tell you, I don't use this stuff anymore. And I used to have to put it on my wrist. I was on tour, fell down, broke my wrist, couldn't fix it because I couldn't give up the gigs. So I just played through. So I never got it healed. And, so it was hurting me really bad, especially living on the coast, and going out into the desert. It gets warm and cold, and that kinda stuff causes a tremendous amount of pain in the broken areas, in joints, and things like that. But since I started the carnivore diet, or I should say, since I began the carnivore lifestyle, there is a
Correct.
di there's a there's a distinct difference in that, and, but since I started that lifestyle, Um, I don't have those problems. The inflammation is gone. Um, I am doing physically activities that I couldn't do 6 months ago, and that goes in terms of just movement, body movement. I mean, I've actually collapsed one time, just right pre to COVID, just collapsed on stage because of pain. I literally couldn't hold myself up anymore, and I hit the ground.
Wow.
That's yeah, that's a sign. And that's
Yeah,
not only a sign to
something's
yourself,
gotta
that's a
change at
sign.
that point.
Yeah, and that's everybody watching you, so you feel really foolish.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
but it was a man, I'm not right, I'm messed up. And then and then what happens is you start drinking. I did anyways, not everybody. I did because of pain.
Right.
And then the pain causes as a trigger for depression. The depression causes drinking, the drinking increases, and it's just snowball effect. It just keeps going and going and going. And, eventually snowball as they do, they just get bigger until they smash into something and usually destroy itself and everything around it. So, um, I decided to make that change, and that was it. I told you the carnivore was it for me. Mm, I stopped drinking on my birth no, actually not true. I stopped drinking the day after my birthday.
The day
Uh,
after.
yes, I'm one of those that I have to put a mark in the sand, so to speak. I have to.
Correct. Mark the occasion.
Yes, I can't do anything where there's a soft line anywhere. It has to be, "This is it right here." So,
I agree.
that was my kinda saying, you know, F you and goodbye.
You and
Oh,
I are alike that way. When I started dieting was the day after Thanksgiving. I said, "Enough's
yes,
enough. I'm tired of this fatness. I gotta get rid of it." I
yes.
started intermittent fasting for maybe 5 weeks or so, and
That's
then found
that's what did it.
yeah,
Boy, you did the same thing I did,
then the
exactly.
carnivore I found the carnivore diet just randomly looking for other autoimmune stuff, searching the internet, and I thought, "What the heck is this carnivore diet? I never heard of this before." And a few videos in, Ken Berry, Sean Baker, and
Yes,
I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna do it." And I'm
yes.
so glad that I did. Oh my gosh, it's been a life-changing experience that I'm never gonna go back to the standard American diet again, ever.
No, and you know what? That standard American diet, I just saw somebody said it, I can't even know who it was, they just said SAD, S-A-A, S-A-D, sad. Boy,
Right?
is that not the case. Totally sad.
That's so true.
But that's so funny that it's exactly what I did. I followed the same path that you did. I mentioned I was almost 300 pounds. Well,
Right.
um, the first step I took was this. I took that exact same step. I went into intermittent fasting. I thought, well, that's something I can do. I can skip a meal. And, and
Right.
it was really just as simple as that. But
Yep.
then you start feeling good about yourself and you start feeling accomplished and you feel like you're achieving that. And it's like, okay, I'm feeling something. So then you start researching more. And then what I did was I fell into keto and I was like, oh, well, this is cool. This is actually going to speed up this intermittent. It's going to help to empower that and make it stronger so that I can even move quicker and achieve my goals quicker. Well,
Mhm.
and it did. It's exactly what it did. And then my wife and I, together started with the intermittent. Intermittent led to us watching those same folks, doctors on YouTube and getting into longer 24-hour fasting, taking a full day off. We got to where we would just not eat on Mondays, just take Mondays off every week. Just don't eat Monday.
Oh my goodness. A whole
And
day,
then,
huh?
yeah, the whole day. And then what we would do is we would go at the first of each month, we would take 2 to 3 days and just not eat at all, and just basically go until you just don't wanna go anymore. But you'd push
Right.
yourself a little time each time and see if I can go the whole time. But it's not
Mhm.
torture. We weren't trying to torture ourselves. We just wanted to push ourselves and get a little bit of that autophagy, which is your body eats old and bad cells, which helps with the inflammation and the damage and all the things that I had. Um so I started to see that improvement, and then and then my wife and I did a couple of 7 days or 5 days and then a 7 day, and then we found out we started to get more energy from by the 2nd to 3rd day when your body's depleted and you're in keto and you're working off fat and there's no glycogen left and everything's gone. Um, all that hunger, all that stuff just fades away, and you start feeling good and clarity and straight-minded and everything,
So
and that
you are very advanced in the, fasting then.
Well, for that, yeah, because we really enjoyed just kept researching and finding out how this is really such a positive thing to our body in so many different ways.
Mhm.
And the thing that led to the carnival for me, I think, probably that transitional part of it was that I loved the fasting so much and I could feel it physically and mentally. Um, I still had the depression though. That was part of it. It wasn't curing the depression and it wasn't curing the
Ooh,
pain. So those 2 things
right.
weren't being cured by that kind of fasting necessarily. So, but I needed something to sustain that kind of health or that level I was trying to achieve. Or I'm still not even there yet. I'm still reaching for it. But and I found that the carnivore diet was possibly that thing. I could eat to fill myself. I could eat the things I love.
Right.
I've been eating bacon and eggs since I was just a little kid being fed by
Right.
it almost every day. My grandmother loved. She's from the South, and I'm talking biscuits and gravy, bacon and eggs, sausage and egg every single day.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I've doing that for almost my entire life, and even today, even before I started carnivore, even knew anything about it, which is why I was 300 pounds. I was eating bacon and eggs every single day, which is probably why I had a heart attack. And the only reason that the difference between then and now is back then, those bacon and eggs were accompanied by fried potatoes, you know,
Yep.
couple good pieces of toast, maybe even with some nasty ass margarine on it, who knows? You know, as
Heart
and
healthy margarine.
yes, exactly. And that's a big difference. But once you get rid of that stuff and you just keep the bacon and eggs, now you're on to something. Now that's the
Oh,
things
yeah.
that I've loved my whole life, and I can eat them every day and feel good about it, and stay happy, stay healthy, stay without any kind of inflammatory reactions in my body. I'm not having pain. I'm as soon as I'm done, my wife's down at the beach teaching an aerobics class right now. She's gonna come back and make sure that I got my list. I wrote it. My little list right here. She writes me down my
Nice.
yeah, this is my workout. I don't know if you guys can see this, probably not. It looks
No.
blurry, but anyways, this is her pens she gives this to me before she leaves, and she says, "You make sure you do these things," which is to turn my head and tilt my head and, do all this kind of move, keep those joints
That's
going.
awesome.
Yeah, kinda cool. I feel like a little spoiled sometimes.
For sure.
But back to the carnivore,
Mhm.
life-changing, easy to do, affordable. Um, it doesn't take long. I have eczema, don't have it anymore. I grow a beard now, um, primarily out of just laziness and habit, but the reason I've always had a beard is because my skin, I can't shave. If I shave, my eczema, my whole face will I look like a freak because my skin is so sensitive. Not anymore.
Yeah. I'm with you
That
on that also.
well, man, that
I
just
don't
fades
have much on the sides, but here, yeah, if I shaved in the front consistently, every day, it'd just be a big red blotch.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
Because your skin don't like it. It's too
Yep.
sensitive, and you know what? That it went away for me completely. I don't have that itchiness anymore. I don't it's gone, and I'm real and it's only been for me for not even been that long. I've only been doing this now, uh, well, the strict carnivore. All the other stuff I was talking about, the fasting, intermittent fasting, keto, so I've always been kind of not always, but I would say for the last 2 years since COVID, because I swelled up like I was horrible during COVID. COVID was horrible for everybody.
Yeah, and
I
it was
took it
bad for me too.
man, I took advantage of the horrible. I just used it as an excuse, and, so it was easy to do. And the fact that, during COVID, um, we weren't we're in Mexico, we weren't getting any kind of stimulus, anything. There was nothing coming to us at all. And,
Mhm.
so and we're musicians, which meant that our entire livelihood, everything that we do, including our Blues Against Hunger society, vanished, went
Wow.
away completely. If it wasn't for the generosity of Guns N' Roses gave us a guitar, Joe Bonamassa gave us a guitar,
Oh,
uh,
man, that's awesome.
Wah but yeah, I mean, it would be if I got to keep them,
Right,
we,
right.
we raffled them off, to raise money so that we could continue to buy food for people. So that got us through that period. But I plumped up, and I started baking bread. Bread was my thing. That's how I made a little extra income, not playing guitar, baking bread. So of course you sample bread. You got every time I had a new recipe, I had to sample a loaf or two or a dozen. And,
Right.
yeah, so
Check and
so I
see if it's
started
good or not.
yeah, exactly. But then I started to look like a loaf myself, and, uh, and I could see it, and that's part of my depression too, is I felt bad about myself, my personal uh, vision of myself and how I see myself wasn't good, and I was disappointed in myself because as I mentioned in my earlier years, I was into health and fitness when I was a kid in my 20s and all that kind of stuff. So I knew the difference. I knew this is not who I am, and this is not who I should be, and this is not who I want to be. I knew all those things, um, and I wasn't sure how to change it. And dieting never freaking worked. Never worked. No, dieting
Didn't for me either.
never worked my whole life, never could stick and dieting is just the whole term of it, just the idea of it, just the word dieting means that it's nothing that's sustainable. If it's a diet, it ain't shit. That's
That's
period.
right.
It's temporary. Diet just means something that's temporary.
Absolutely. I think you hit on something there with, being disappointed. I mean, that was the source of my depression, and, anxiety is spilled over into the anxiety as well because I just said to myself, "You're Adam, you're a grown ass man. What are you doing? You know, what like it's time to get things in gear and get rid
Yeah.
of this stuff, you know. And ever since I made that shift in the mindset, man, it's the depression and anxiety is just, started out up here and it's gone way down
And you can feel it, and it just feels good, doesn't it? It just feels
for
so
sure. Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
yeah,
Incredible feeling.
and not to be triggered. That's something I've just recently started to consciously be aware of that, hey, that would have triggered me. That little thing that I just happened to me would have pissed me off, or it would have it would have did
Right.
so there would have been an effect, to
Right.
follow that action or that word or that comment or whatever it is. And
Hmm.
I'm not finding that anymore. I'm finding myself much more level, much calmer, uh, maybe more tolerant. I don't know if that's what it is. I can't say,
Yeah.
but I
I'm
can't.
with you there too, especially on the road driving. I mean,
Mhm.
I would
Oh,
get
yeah.
extremely agitated with stupid drivers and I'd yell and
Yeah,
scream and blood pressure's through the roof and now it's just like whatever.
exactly,
I'm almost
exactly.
stay in my lane and do my thing and you're not going to affect me.
No, I feel the same way, and you're not even doing it consciously. You're just doing it because you don't feel that way anymore,
Right. I agree. Yep, for sure.
and that's the part that makes it really cool. And yeah, it's the lifestyle. It's the way I'm planning to live. Still have some goals to meet. I'm 59, so I'm heading towards 60, and never thought I'd be this. I never ever expected to be this age or even to reach this age, to be honest. And I'm quite happy to be here. Um, and I intend to stay here as long as I can. And I think the carnivore diet is going to help me do that. And now I'm preaching it too. Now, I'm talking about it. I'm even probably angering people on our channel for not doing music. Now,
Right.
now I'm not even doing music. I'm just talking about food all the time. So
Right.
it, it's,
But
but it's had that
the,
kind of impact, It's like kind of what
I
you.
guarantee you that you're going to impact a bunch of people on your channel that may not even know that they need it.
I hope so. I hope so because, it's changed my life in a really, really, really positive way, and it keeps changing. I am as soon as I'm done here, I'm gonna get outside and I'm gonna do some cardiovascular and some push-ups and a few things that I could never do before, and now I'm looking forward to going out and doing it, because it doesn't hurt and because I can actually push my fat ass up.
Right.
Ha Haven't been able to do that in a while. Yeah.
I'm right there with you, brother. It's
I
25 years for me, and I didn't exercise since I quit martial arts. When I was like 20 or so, and it just started working. Getting into slug of life and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
25 years, I didn't do a single push up or sit up or nothing. And when I went to carnivore, I thought, you know what? I'm still not going to do anything until I kinda get to my goal weight, and I just now recently, within the past month or so, started to do some working out, man, and it feels great.
Oh, yeah, doesn't it? Even if you're not that strong to begin with, just the fact that you can do it feels pretty good. Makes you
Oh,
feel
yeah,
strong mentally. So
for
congratulations on
sure.
that. That's
Thanks.
really cool.
You too, man. That's
And
great.
the other part of it that we can't forget, it's also very cool, is the fact that now that we are where we are and we got here using carnivore and we're gonna get to go exercise and feel good about ourselves and feel good all over. But when we're done, we get to come in and say, have big old plate of bacon and eggs.
Right.
And I won't feel like the slightest bit guilty about it.
Oh
Not
my gosh.
yeah, and so, yeah,
Amen
thick,
to that for sure.
nice, nice, good stuff, yeah. So
Right.
so there's so many good sides to it. It's endless. And the shopping bill is pretty small too. We just did a whole thing where we literally wanted to see how much we could do for a week. It only cost us $36. We went out shopping with pesos, but you know, we converted. It was $36 to feed both of us for a week.
And
Uh,
that's an I seen that video, and that's an excellent tutorial video for somebody that thinks that they can't do this or it's too
oh
expensive. Yeah, for
no, no,
sure.
you can do it. You can do it. And there's so many creative things. we found a few other creative things to do with, like, you can get one of those, what are they, $10 chickens, you get those full roasted chickens.
Yep.
And that's one meal, but not completely. That's just one meal where you take the chicken off and we make, good stuff. And what we love to do is get some cheese, some Monterey Jack, because I used to be lactose intolerant. I haven't mentioned that, but seems like I'm not something my inability to eat cheese seems to be fading as well. So now that I'm eating
Interesting.
carnivore, my lactose problem um, is seems to be fading because now I'm eating more cheeses and having no difficulties whatsoever. And I used to like fear away from cheese. So what's really wonderful is we take that meal number one off one of those chickens, $10 chickens, is
Right.
just I'll get the chicken off of it, of course. Take some cheese, which has got a nice quantity of fat in it, so good flavor,
Hmm.
and just throw a bunch of it in a frying pan just on its own, no other anything, and just let the cheese sit there in that pan until it turns brown and starts to tan. Flip it over and you got a nice so tortilla, and it's crispy, and it's
Oh
just
man, that sounds delicious.
it is good. Cheese never tasted so good, I swear.
Right.
But and then but it even better when you put the chicken in it and roll it up inside of this cheese tortilla. It's like a chicken burrito made out of cheese and chicken. Uh,
Oh man.
yeah, it's freaking good. And then what you do is you take all the rest of it, all the bones and all the everything else, and you throw it in a pot with water, big pot of
Hmm.
water, and just boil the hell out of it. Let it boil for hours. I mean, put it down on slow simmer and get everything out of the bones, out of just disintegrate the cartilage, get it down to where it's just the bone and just pull the bones out. And then what we do is we take that and cook it really well, and then we'll take some the the rib bouillon. It's just basically salt and animal, and
Right.
not very much of it, but you put it in there, and then we'll slow whisk in either 6 to 8 eggs.
Really?
Oh, yeah, and then and what it does is it turns into like an egg drop soup, the chicken, and it just whisk it in there, and it starts to thin out. The eggs will thin out and start to look almost like a ricey pasta-y stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah, and just whisk it in there and when it's hot, and then let it cool just a little bit, not too much, keep it hot, and then take some grated cheese, and throw some grated cheese in there and whisk it some more, and the cheese, because it's still hot, will melt into this, and it turns into a creamy chicken soup that probably tastes better. It's one of the best things I've ever eaten in my life,
Dude. Oh
and
my God, I gotta make this now.
but what's so great about it is I can, depending on how we get 2 or 3 meals out of this one $10 chicken to feed 2 people. I mean, and it's delicious, and and you're full, and it's so good. And you can use the pollo or the chicken bouillon, or
Hmm.
you can use the rib, the beef ribs, because I looked at it's pretty much just, at least the ones we get here are pretty much just animal stuff and
Right.
salt. And salt, I don't mind salt. Salt's great.
Oh, salt is amazing.
Yeah. It,
It
so
it
there you
definitely wouldn't be as fun if we didn't have salt for sure.
so there you go. There's just a little quick, but all that kind of stuff, but you can do it so cheap and so inexpensively, and that's all carnivore, and it's all healthy, and you feel good afterwards, and you're full, and you have 0 guilt. Pretty good.
So, is there is there anything specific in terms of recipes that is your favorite?
Mm. That soup is one of my favorites, without
Okay.
question. We also do the cheese tortillas quite a bit because we use them for dipping, for tacos, you know, meat taco,
Right,
for
right.
we do all kinds of stuff with cheese. Not everybody's into the cheese part of it, but it's a nice, if you're hardcore and you're a purist, then cheese wouldn't be one of your options. But for me, being in Mexico, um, it's definitely one of my favorite options, but also, carne asada or flank steak, the kind of stuff that you put in, tacos,
Right,
uh,
right.
because it's really inexpensive. It's just pure meat. It's just beef. And down here, it's almost right off the cow. You can almost see them cut it and put it right in front of you. And I've seen that.
Nice.
I literally, and this is not a lie. This is and which blew my mind. And I was so blown away by it because I've never seen anything like this in my life. Is like I mentioned, my wife and I walked to Cabo a few years back, 11 years ago or 12 years ago, or something. And um, and in doing so, about halfway down, we got this little village, Las Barrancas, and there was a man there. Oh, I think it was Alfredo. I can't remember his name right off the top of my head. Really cool guy, but he owned a meat market, a little market there in town. It was only like maybe 8, 10 streets for this whole town, and he was the only market. So, but he was a really nice man, and he brought us in to feed us, and he introduced us to his family and all that. And he wasn't there, so his family let us hang out. And we saw a garage in the back, and they said sit on the patio because it was really, really hot, and it was cool on the patio. And we
Mhm.
kept seeing this truck coming in and out of the back by their garage. So we went to go investigate and kind of walking over, and we went in there, and then, sure enough, it was just a small garage, and but the garage was clean and tiled on the walls, and we're watching, and they backed this pickup truck, just a just a pickup truck, right?
Right.
And there's a cow in the back of the pickup truck.
What the
The cow is you can see the cow in his eyes, so much so that even my wife, Sweet, she knew immediately what that was happened. The cow knew, and she knew, and she took off, and she goes, "I am not gonna sit and watch this."
Oh my gosh.
But I was blown away because and the thing that blew me away the most, not that they had a cow because that we see cows quite frequently, but
Mhm.
this cow was two guys, right? They pull this cow. This is carnivore, hardcore carnivore right here. They pull this cow down. It's got a rope around his neck. They pull him down. They have one of those little screws with the eye hooks. I don't know where my camera is here. Those little eye hooks in the ground.
Right.
They put the rope down through that. They use it to pull the cow down out of the truck. They just pull that like that, and it pulls him down, and he gets to the ground. The guy walks up with a 22 or something. I think it was a 22. Walks up and just bink, shoots the cow in the head, right? It's like, wow, this is all happening. And I filmed the whole time too. But what the part that blew me away, and this is the not not any of that part of it, but the part that really and they had kitchen pots and pans around, like
Mhm.
small kinds you'd boil eggs in or whatever, or water. And
Right.
they just kept handing each other pans, and then they cut this thing open somewhere around the neck, and they drained it of all of its blood in kitchen pans and just handed them off to the wife and somebody else is coming, and they were just handing these pots off. And then those 2 gentlemen sat there, and I'd say within 20 minutes maximum, I would give them credit for maybe 15, but 20 minutes and definitely not 30 minutes. Uh, they had that whole cow chopped down into, like, steaks, and it was on a rack, and it was just
Are you
whoa.
serious?
Oh, yeah. It was pretty unbelievable, actually.
Wow.
I had never seen anything like it. It was amazing, actually. They were, like, artists with this big knife, and then they got in with a smaller knife, and then they started by basically taking all the skin off, cutting the thing in half, and it was incredible. Yeah. Just 2 guys too, and I'd never seen anything like that.
Wow. This
I
was
wasn't a part of it.
outside or
What's that?
was this outside or
No, this was inside of a garage. The door was open.
okay.
It was
Right.
but it was a garage that was set up, this was attached, to the back of the guy's house. It's
Okay.
pretty cool. Um,
Man. Talk
yeah.
about efficiency. Jiminy Christmas.
Oh, yeah. You know what's funny though is that guy, you know, he would make a great carnivore. He, is that was we were in a stretch of the peninsula of Baja, which is all desert and there's nothing there. And so we would walk normally about 15 miles a day. And so this guy in a small pickup truck, like I mentioned earlier, he would
Mhm.
come by in the morning and he would have a horse and a cow together standing up in the back of a pickup truck. And he'd stop and he would ask us how we were doing. And then he would head on because we tell him we're just walking, we're fine. And he'd head on. And then later in the day, he'd be going back the other way, and this time he has 2 sheep and another horse or something. And he'd go and then he kept doing that. So he was doing that, and we were making all these little things all day, like going, "I wonder who the hell is this guy? What is this all about?" And it turns out that he turned out to be a butcher, a carniceria or yeah, like a meat market, a meat market.
Okay.
And, that's what he was doing. He was just carrying animals back and forth. And at the end of the day, one last time, he's heading back and he stops and asks us, "It's getting dark. Are you sure you guys don't wanna come to my home? You can stay with me," and he had another cow and another horse in the back of his truck. It's
Gee.
pretty funny. Yeah. So that's how we found out about the next day that he was a butcher, and that's when I saw that cow be taken care of. That's pretty funny.
So he wasn't
Anyways.
loading up Noah's Ark then.
No, no, not at all. Not at all. It was a small little town. It was a fishing town, actually. So he was,
Okay.
everybody fished. It was right on the Pacific, called, Las Barrancas,
Mhm.
and yeah, he was the only little market in town. Hey, Sweet just showed up.
Yeah,
Sweet's back from teaching her class, so now she's gonna make sure I did this list, and I haven't because I've been
right.
talking to you, but, uh, but I'm not gonna tell her I haven't because I did most of them, so I just gotta go do a few push-ups and I'll be good.
That's cool. How much more time do you have?
As much as you need. Guy, I'll answer
Okay.
whatever you need.
Okay, cool. We'll get into a couple more questions here.
Okay?
Um,
Hold on me.
let's see. Next, we'll do what? Let's see. Have you noticed any changes to your mental abilities, your mental focus, your mental clarity, your cognitive abilities, and things like that since you went carnivore?
Yes, absolutely. Definitely more sharper, uh, working out projects because we do most of our marketing, our graphics, our videos, and all that kind of stuff, and writing, um, all of it, recording, everything. We do the whole start to finish, and um, and I seem to get more done, and especially when I'm like we have certain times of the day, we'll just stop and it's time to work on music skills or it's time to work on this or whatever.
Hmm.
And um and I find myself more easily able to stop, sit down, and get directly into whatever I'm doing and stay on it instead of bouncing around. I don't get as easily distracted as I used, I think my attention deficit disorder. I can't. I'm all over the place. As
Right.
probably shows in this conversation.
Right.
But
I think most people have that problem, and it seems like going carnivores tends to reverse that for sure.
it definitely helps. It definitely helps, without question. That's why the next thing and I like that. I like being effective. I like being to accomplish tasks and get things done. I don't like wasting time. I don't like making mistakes. I hate being forgetful. I hate going somewhere with a list of things and I come back with half of them because I forgot what they were. Um, that's all that kind of crap doesn't work for me very well. It upsets me, and I don't like to do that, and yet I do
Right.
anyways. Uh, so so I make efforts to try not to, and the carnivore diet really, really helps. Um, it really does. And the next one on my list, oh, I had a couple things still because this is all my experiment is to make myself the best that I can in 1 year, and to use carnivore diet and other things to change myself from what I was into something I want to be or something better.
That's
And
awesome.
and those things those require me, getting rid of things that I've been my whole life, like the things that kick my ass are, Diet Coke, 'cause I like Diet Coke. And
Yeah.
Diet Coke.
Diet Pepsi for me.
Oh, is
It
it?
it was a huge problem. Yeah.
But I don't feel too bad about it because the Diet Coke does have a sweetness to it that helps me occasionally to get over humps, or it did. I don't necessarily have those humps as much anymore, but early on I did. And
Hmm.
if I was having some cravings and I wanted to go, you know, eat some potato chips or whatever, I'm just using I would never just have done that one, but you know what
Right.
I mean, just some sort of
Mhm.
crap food. I could just pour myself an ice cold Diet Coke and I would be good. Just keep myself busy and I have that will satisfy that. So it helps to get me over those things. So that's number 1. Number 2 would be cannabis, smoke way too much pot, and that has a tendency to make that much worse. Forgetfulness
Really.
and losing focus and all that kind of stuff, you know? So,
Right.
so both of those 2 things have to go away with and are not currently gone. So,
Right.
uh, and I think those will improve your question and I'll even get better at it. But to answer your question, without question, carnivore by itself, just having that lifestyle, has made me sharper and more focused.
That's awesome. So, has there been any social situations that you've been in that has been difficult
Yeah.
at this point with eating this way? Like somebody may, oh my gosh, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Or maybe you can't find something to eat. And if you've had any issues like that, how did you overcome it?
Uh, Not too much, that I can recall really. My friends are they wouldn't even question it really too much, I don't think. And it nobody really has at this point. I think one of my friends has, commented, well, about, not having enough of the goodies or something like that, but nobody
Right.
really but not too much. They're very supportive. They've seen, people see me and see the physical change before sometimes, and they'll go, "Wow," and like, because I don't look the same.
Right.
Um, I've lost, I think 80 pounds maybe, something,
Oh
60,
my goodness.
over 60 pounds for sure. And, so they can see it in me. Um, so I don't get much flack from it at all. Plus, I don't take flack from much people, so nobody bothers to give it to me. That might be something about it.
You don't sound like somebody that takes flack.
Not too much, no. Uh, but I don't think they would anyway, so they don't nobody says much about it. And I don't you know, I don't go out to restaurants, bars, and party situations like that unless I'm performing, in which case I'm performing. I've usually eaten before the event begins, then I perform, and then I boogie or hang out, but I don't do a tremendous amount of that stuff anyways. My wife and our homebodies, we don't go to bars or places like that unless we're actually the reason people are going to that bar.
Right. Right.
I think she's hold on one second if you don't mind. I just wanna see if
Yep.
she's
Sure. Mhm.
oh, you're here. Okay. I know she had come in. I didn't know if she was here or not.
Cool.
Uh,
Um,
so
so
yes,
as
I'm much clearer.
That's awesome. So as far as sleep, you mentioned that you were keto before and then you transitioned to carnivore.
Correct.
How long have you been carnivore?
I started, I probably started carnivore, how many what, 6 weeks ago, maybe? Started, but not fully hardcore, but pretty close to. But then on my birthday, which was the 26th of June, so, um, whatever it is now, so we're almost 3 weeks, I guess, of
Okay.
of very strict, like, only that
Okay.
would
So
make
have you noticed a difference in sleep um, with keto versus carnivore, or has nothing changed there? Or
hmm. Well, that's a good question, actually. Probably not the best couple of days to ask me about sleep. I'm just recovering from a hellacious trip to the States. It took me 2 days to sleep through that one.
oh
Um,
my goodness,
yeah, it was quite a trip. We just had a show up in the US, but just getting there and coming back with all our gear and getting through customs and everything, it was horrible. Um, so I just came home but I can tell you, I did sleep solid, and even with probably one of the most stressful experiences that I've had in decades, maybe. Uh, I got through it pretty calmly, and I got through it without. and there was I can't imagine myself doing it in the manner that I did it and got through it at any other point in my life as well, as level-headed, and as calmly as I did in this particular case, um, and I think that
Uh-oh.
I well, I think that the diet is part of it, I really do. I think that what we previously talked about, um,
Mhm.
creates a certain level, and I think and it's my blood sugar maybe, the insulin levels, the crashes and the lifts, the adrenaline, the endorphins, the whatever it is that's pumping
Mhm.
or not pumping, whatever the case may be,
Right.
seems to be at a much, much more balanced level because I'm not I don't have those explosiveness, I don't feel that way. I don't and I and as I said before, it couldn't have been anything else. And had even if I was drinking, I wouldn't have been drinking at that particular time because I was going through customs and I had I wouldn't have done that because it'd be too risky. So I
Right.
wouldn't so I wouldn't have been drinking anyway. So I can't say that, oh, that's because I wouldn't have. So the only
Right.
difference that you get my point I'm trying to make with that is that the only difference between the other day and any other point in my 20 years of coming over that border, no, lifetime actually, 20 years of big doing it consistently. But
Mhm.
um this is the first time it was no problem. I just had my emotion, I guess that's what I'm looking for. My emotion was stable, and the only thing that's been different is my diet.
That's
So,
awesome.
that's it.
I bet your significant other enjoys that part of it.
I don't listen to her, I don't know. See, she doesn't listen.
Come in there.
What is that?
Come in there.
No, come in here. I know, come in here. One.
I'm in the shadows, so you got me blurred.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you
Hi there.
Hello.
there you go.
How are you?
Good. How are you? So, are
Good.
you doing this diet with SIXX?
Well, I'm keto more than
Okay.
carnivore, but because of him eating more meat, there is more meat in my life. Is more other and a little less of the vegetables, but I'd feel better for me. I feel better when I have a few of my other favorites and cucumbers and tomatoes and spinach, cauliflower, simple stuff. But
Right.
I have noticed limiting some of the vegetables that we have that my hands with arthritis have improved. It's not as painful. So, I mean, there's something to be saying. And my background is fitness. So this was I was a little skeptical, but I just started researching more because what's been with my background and my education is all nutrition and it's vegetables are good for you. And so so I just am doing a lot more research. And as he said with his experiment,
Right.
I'm learning as well. So it's actually quite amazing with some of the changes that I've seen in such a short time.
Well, not only that, one of the positive things is, um, that now she'll eat a steak with me because 'cause we've been together 20 years,
I'm not a big
and
steak eater.
she doesn't like red
Once in
meat,
a while.
but now she's eating red meat, so I'm digging it.
Yeah, I think that it has been beneficial for me as well. So yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've found that there's a difference in things that we've learned about vegetables, and then when you eat this way, there's an experience that's somewhat almost completely opposite of what we've been taught. Strange.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it is, it really is, and, but again, like when this conversation started out, if you look at it and you really think about what's being said and what's being presented now, and you take out away all that other stuff that you've been taught in the pyramid, and how that now it's an inverted pyramid, and just throw all that FDA nonsense aside just for a moment and just think of how our ancestors and how and before we could grow all this stuff and before we
Yeah.
didn't before farming and before all that part of
Hunter
history
gatherers. I've
and
been
we
saying
were
that for the hunter
hunters and
gatherers.
gatherers
Right.
and a hunter and gatherer, and they were eating meat, berries, fruits that are easy to pick, things that they could kill and that they could chase, and they would go long times without any food at
Right.
all. So if they had
And
no
there's your
if it
fasting.
and there's your fasting,
Yeah.
so they would have
Yeah,
feast and famine, and but what they had to choose, it wasn't anything in any of those aisles in the middle of the grocery store, that's for sure, not a damn one of them.
that's right. After I've been doing this
Mm,
for almost 160
that
days and
Well,
eating meat. Thank Nice to meet you,
wow,
sweet. Thanks. Yeah, so I've been doing this almost 160 days, and after eating
congrats.
meat essentially like every single day for 160 days straight, I can't imagine if I was a hunter gatherer that I would ever prefer to go like munch on some leaves. Like it doesn't even
Yeah.
sound good at all, Or like, hey, what's
No, it doesn't.
this thing growing? Let me try to eat it. I mean, I'd have to be starving to death to have
Well,
to eat
and
that
that
stuff.
may and when you think about it, maybe that is exactly how that stuff came about. Maybe somebody said, "There is no the season's out. We had a cold this time, so we have no fruit, we have no nothing. And since there's none of that stuff growing, all the animals have gone looking elsewhere." And I would imagine that those guys followed them along too. But they're sitting there going, "What are we gonna do now?" There's a few weeds popping up here and there. Well, try that. But you would think that even if they did that, even if they had that instinct to do that and start grazing, I guess, like a cow themselves. Uh,
Right.
Once that fruit and all the other stuff came back, they would go, "Bleh, I don't want this crap anymore. Let's get back to the good stuff."
Yeah.
So that's where we are now. We're
Yeah.
back to the good stuff.
For sure. So, what in terms of resources that you have used for the carnivore diet, like YouTube channels and things like that, who are your go tos as far as getting information or other people's stories and things like that?
Mm, that's interesting. Um, I don't know if I have a go to necessarily because I kind of just go to the front page and I do this unless I'm specifically looking for something. If I want an answer to something, I'll search for it. And
Right.
I'll use, you know, Dr. Barry, Dr. Berg, and Sean Baker, Dr. I think his name is Chaffee, I believe.
Hmm. Yep.
Uh, so a few of these guys and gals that put out a lot of content and have uh, a lot of resources. Sometimes I'll go to one or many of their sites. Instead of searching through everything, I'll just search their channel and see if they have anything, and then I'll look elsewhere. Um, but for the most part, if I'm not specifically looking for something, then it's just whatever's on a suggestion page. I'll take a look and go, because it'll say all my subscriptions and how it works, obviously. So I'll just see if something's interesting, but I don't necessarily go hunting stuff down. Um, if Because I feel really good right now. As a matter of fact, I don't even have any questions about it anymore. I mean, I'm to the point now where I pretty much have answered all my questions. I know what I need to do, and I know what I think is acceptable and what I'm willing to eat and not eat. And I know how I feel. I let my body guide me more than my conscious even. I don't even know because I'm not trying to process it as much as just saying my body's telling me this is good. Don't screw with it. It ain't broke. It's actually getting better. So it's improving. And as long as it is continuing to do that, I am going to be, we have a trip over to another part of Mexico in San Felipe or Baja. And, so I'm going to go see the doctor over there because we have our HOA as medical built into it. So I'll go see the doctor over there and get a full blood work, get a full everything here pretty soon. Since I'm early into it, only a few weeks of the hardcore. Um, and then I'm going to wait until 6 months, and then I'm gonna go and do it again at the end of the full year and just do a little test. I know where I'm at. I know how I feel. Um, I feel better than at any point in my life. I when I and I know this, for instance, this is almost a good, comparison physically. My wife and I in 2012, we walked from San Felipe to Cabo San Lucas. It's 850 miles. We
Oh my
left
gosh.
we left on Mother's Day in May, and we got to Cabo San Lucas on the 27th of July. So we walked 74 days. Every day was over 100, and in some cases, and I lost 60 pounds in those 74 days. Sure. And I also enlarged my heart because I had high blood pressure. I was on medication. I thought I felt good. I stopped taking the medicine. I ended up screwing myself. But I didn't feel anywhere, and I lost 60 pounds, walked 15 miles a day, 32 miles on our best day, and we did it for 74 straight days. Um, and I feel
That's
better now,
amazing.
far, far better now than I did back then. And that was back then with all that exercise, all that walking every day, all that everything. Um, I was in tremendous amount of pain all the time still. It didn't solve that problem. I was eating anything that I want. I was eating everything that I could get my hands on actually because we were, you know, as people. So, and I ended up doing damage to myself. Even though I lost weight, I was thinner. Um, I still had the pain. I still I had all that stuff. So, but all that stuff, and now I'm almost where I was then, or about there, and um, but I don't have any of those other things with it anymore, and I'm not even doing the exercise. I'm not walking 15 miles a day, um, and and we stopped to rest, multiple days or give our bodies time to recover. So it wasn't like I beat myself down to where I was in pain because of the walking. No, not that at
Right.
all. It's because my body was damaged previously, and I had a lot of inflammation, and that didn't help. But the diet did. Carnivore
That's
did
awesome.
because now here I am 11 years later. Yeah, so I'm 11 years older than I was then now, and I feel 100 times better than I did then, and I'm almost exactly the same weight. So, I just keep finding these analogies in my life. It's like, "Oh, yeah, this is right. I'm doing the right thing. This is the right thing. This is changing me. This is positive." I can compare it to other points in my life when I was the same weight or the same whatever, and it still wasn't as good as it is now, and I'm the oldest I've been in all this time, obviously. I'm older now than at any other point, obviously, and I'm better now than at any of those other points.
That's
And
killer.
that's what my selling what is, and that's what's selling me on this whole thing, and that's why I wanna do this 1 year thing. I want to have, just like Chris said earlier, I want to put that line in the sand so that I can do some comparisons and see how I was able to make my life better. And in terms of nutrition, it's definitely kind of without question.
I feel like I'm I literally feel like I'm probably, in terms of how I feel, like 25 years old.
Sure, no,
I'm 46, so I mean that's like within 150 days on carnivore, I literally feel like I'm 20 years younger than I am. Do you have similar results?
absolutely, absolutely. I I I feel younger than I felt in quite a while now at 59. And I intend to keep feeling better, and I'm hoping by the time I'm 60, I feel 40. For everybody keeps saying this, the new 60 is the 60 is the new 40, I guess. So
Yeah.
either they're full of shit, or it's gonna be, I'm gonna make it a reality, and I'm gonna put that,
Right.
yeah, man, we're gonna put that to the test.
Oh yeah. Nice.
But it's working so far. It's working so far, so I have no complaints. And just the fact that I can sit here and do this, uh, just that, just that movement wouldn't have been possible 6 months ago. So yeah, it's cool.
That's awesome. So let's see. Would you have any tips for somebody that might want to start this way of eating or carnivore lifestyle? No, we don't want to say diet. There's too many negative connotations with that, but the carnivore
Absolutely.
way or the carnivore lifestyle, anybody that's looking to do something like that, what tips would you give them first, especially for somebody maybe in your age range?
In my age range. Um, don't wait. if you're in my age range, you don't have a lot of time to waste. So, get busy. Do it right now. Also find the things that you like to eat that are within that. So find those things that you enjoy the most and start with just those. Get rid of all the other stuff. Just eat on the foods that you like. If you like steak, get steak, meat, carne asada, and keep things around that are easy to snack on. So you can beat the craving. Because that's important it's getting through and it's not and you know what? And it's I don't believe that it is necessarily always cravings. I think the cravings are at to start, but then I think after even a short period of time, it's all mental. At that point, it's more habit. 5 o'clock rolls around, you need to eat. You sit down or you been take a couple bong hits or whatever, and you sit on the couch and watch your favorite show. It's snack time, baby. Uh,
Right.
but you got to break those habits. It's really, it's habits. It's habits and it's a mental thing and you just got to get past it. And the thing that I'd like to do is just to have those little snacks around that'll satisfy me. Like I mentioned, I like carne asada. Well, and bacon's
Mhm.
another good too. And there's a whole bunch of chicken does it too. I mean, there's all kinds of it. Just make little strips, make little things that you can just pop in your mouth, like, even for me, my wife, as we mentioned, sweet likes I love red meat. She not so much. She's starting to now, but she like chicken. And I'm not a huge chicken fan, but I'll eat it. But what I do enjoy is if I fry some chicken, like I'll get a bunch of legs, just
Mhm.
not the kind that are pumped up at Costco and they fill it full of crap, but
Right.
a real chicken that their legs are the size of a real chicken. Um,
Mhm.
and I'll take those and just fry them up in bacon. Just pour bacon fat
Ooh.
in the pan and fry them nice. And then I'll just cool them off,
Mm.
throw them in a container and keep them in the fridge. So when I get one of those little urges or I feel I'm getting cravings or I have to get past this, I can just go grab one of those little legs and start snagging on it and all is good. And, you can do the same thing with I can't do it unfortunately with bacon. I know, I think it was Dr. Berg who I hope I don't get the wrong one. Anyways, one of those guys that I watch, likes to do bacon in it and make little strips of bacon but that don't work for me because that's gone instantly. So it won't it
Right.
won't those won't get past my first snack. It's like, "Oh," so
Right.
they're gone. So I don't
It
use
it
those.
looks so big, but there's just if you
No,
balled it up, it's real small like a
no,
marble.
it doesn't it just doesn't do the trick. It
Those are
doesn't leave you
really good
feeling
tips.
so
That
bad.
definitely seems
So
like
the little
that's
chicken
the
legs would get strips of carne asada, cut them up real thin like this taco stuff,
Mhm.
keep them like this, and just crisp them up nice so you can just pick them up and eat them almost like jerky. Plenty of salt on it. The flavor is tremendous. Carne asada and flake steak, you gotta cook don't eat it like a steak because it has no flavor and you won't enjoy it and it sucks. So, you gotta cook you gotta almost caramelize it so the flavors of the meat kinda almost not burn through, but they come out in the meat, and that particular type of meat. But what makes them so nice is you can cut them into these strips, they get a little bit firmer, and it's like grabbing a piece of jerky, and you can just gnaw on it, and it does the same thing as a chicken leg, it satisfies, gets you chewing, which you wanna get that chewing going, and you leave completed, and that's what I do. I enjoy that. Instead of just like bacon. Ah, ah, ah.
Right.
Anyways, cool.
Devour now.
Mhm. Exactly.
Yeah, those are really good
There ain't no
tips. That's
saving
always
that for
seems to be
later.
this right.
But, hey, but you
Those
know
are
what?
awesome tips,
So
man.
the other awesome tip on that subject matter is even if you
Mhm.
do devour all that bacon, even if you do devour all that chicken and all that carne, because you're on a carnivore diet, it don't matter. Eat as much of it as you want, you
That's
know?
right.
That's the other positive thing. It's like, and who cares? It won't matter. It will have no effect. Eat until you're full, and you're not gonna get fat either way. So, you're gonna lose
That
weight, you're
was
gonna
one of
get
the selling points for me with carnivore was no counting calories, and
nope.
with the intermittent fasting, it I have high willpower,
Mhm.
with most things,
Good. Yeah, that's awesome.
but the intermittent fasting requires a certain level of willpower to say, I'm not going to eat for 18 hours or 24 hours or whatever,
Yeah.
and kind of power through the hunger pains. And you're essentially, I mean, it's a starvation type diet. There's health benefits to it, but
Oh, big one. Yes.
it wasn't for me. And when they said on carnivore, you can eat as much fat, as much meat, don't even count calories, just eat till you're full. I'm like, "Are you serious?
Sounds
Sign me
perfect.
up."
Exactly. Sounds perfect. Well, yeah, that's a good benefit to it because your body's gonna use it all. And it is filling and it is satisfying and delicious, so you can't beat any of that. But I like you know what? I enjoy all the different and it kind of a combo of them all. Like if I have a feeling that and I haven't reached it yet, but I just know from past experience and from education and from everything I've done previously that my body's going to plateau on this and I'm going to reach a certain point where everything's just going to stay status quo and then start it'll stop reacting to what I'm doing because it's just going to be what its norm is. Um, and that's when I'm gonna start using some of these other things like fasting to break that cycle so that the body will start to adapt again. And and fasting, I think for me is gonna be a good way to do it. And fasting, if it doesn't work for you, it's always try and try again. So like, uh, if you're intermittent fasting today, just skip breakfast, but don't skip it all the way. Instead, just don't eat past, say, 7 o'clock at night. That's a doable. I would say earlier, but
Right.
7 o'clock's cool. People they can handle that. So just stop at 7, don't eat past that. And then don't eat in the morning at all until after 10.
Yep,
Pretty
that's what I
simple.
do now. Since I've gone
Yep.
carnivore,
Yeah.
I can go 24 hours now, really with no issue. Sometimes even longer than that, just because I'm not even really hungry, which is crazy.
It's
Because when I was intermittent fasting before carnivore, I was still kind of eating sad diet a little bit, but I was
that's
trying
fine.
to like
Yeah.
restrict myself from eating, and it sucked.
Your body and is still getting those cravings from that crap food even and so now you're just it wants it, but you're giving it this gap that you can't provide it because you don't want it. So it's getting it. Take that away and then do that. And that little gap there is gonna be much easier, at which point you can go from 24 to 27 to 30 to 36 to and then pretty soon, next thing you know, you're doing 3 days, and by the 2nd day, usually for me anyways on a fast, by the 2nd day, there is no hunger at all, any. And now that I'm carnivore, I'm willing to bet that I'll probably have almost none even on the first day. Because my wife and I, we're pretty used to it. We don't eat in the evenings after dinner, and we'll have dinner 6-ish,
Hmm.
Masamino, usually. Um, and then we just play music until we're ready to go to bed or whatever, or watch something. And then in the morning, we don't eat nothing until uh 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So that way, we're only eating in a 4 hour window maybe for the whole day, 5 hours. But that's all we ever do. So now we're to the point where we don't, it doesn't even, don't even think about it. Sometimes we forget. Be 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's like, did we eat yet? No, we haven't eaten. Let's go. Let's make the breakfast.
Yep.
So your body adapts to it. You should try the fasting again sometime. It's good. It's good for you. There's after about 18 hours, you can, all these doctors, same guys we're talking about for carnivore, will also talk about fasting. Not all of them, but like certainly Dr. Berg does. Um, and he was a big part of that. But there's a thing called, for me, for the old folks, called autophagy, where when you get into that state, your body will start seeking out fuel. After it burns through its glycogen and all that kind of stuff, it's fueled. It's normal insulin and all typed fueled, and then it starts burning, going for other types of fuel, the keto and fat and such. It's going to start with your cells, with bad cells, damaged cells, old cells. It's going to burn those first. And the beautiful thing is that when it does, which happens, as I said, certainly by the 2nd day, and
Hmm.
continue for as long as you decide to do that, um, that when it's done and you start to nourish yourself again, it replenishes those cells. And that's the closest thing you're gonna find to the fountain of youth. I mean, it's taking old cells and replacing them with new, and all you're having to do is deplete your body of food for a while so it does it, and then come back in again, and it's that's you add that to the carnivore man, and you're on top of the world.
I
That's
didn't mean to
awesome.
interrupt,
Yeah.
guys. Here we go. Because
Okay, what's up?
I'm going to deliver Hearts of Baja, food for Hearts of Baja, and so we're gonna go to Prima Tapia, and then Sharon's gonna take me to lunch.
Okay,
So
that's our other part, the Blues Against Hunger. So we got to go deliver food to an orphanage, or she does, and then but
Okay.
she gets to go have lunch with her girlfriends afterwards. So okay,
So
baby.
that's the last question I had for you is where can we find you on the internet? And is there anything that you want to share in terms of like what you're doing with the food and stuff, so that
Um,
people
yeah, well, you can.
maybe can get linked up with donations with that, or if you have something like that set up or in place.
Oh, you betcha.
really quick,
Yeah, huh,
I don't have my phone, so message Sharon if you have a question.
got it.
All right.
Bye. Sure. Well, you can find out about us and our music at Sweet Six with two X's. So just sweet like sugar and six, one word. The YouTube, internet, sweet6.com. And our organization, uh, Blues Against Hunger, is bluesagainsthunger.org. We're a 501c3 out of Arizona, and that's our organization brings musicians together, and we put on jams to raise food. So it's like a giving circle. Musicians come together, we play music, people come out, they come to the concert, they bring food, they drop it off, and we deliver it to those in need. And we do that, and we've been doing that now for over 10 years. Um, and we
Wow,
encourage.
that's awesome.
It is, it really is. It's satisfying, it's fulfilling. I enjoy music very much. And we encourage others to do the same thing. I mean, if you're a musician and you put on a show or a jam or whatever, it's pretty darn easy to say, "Hey, how about bring some food with you? Non-perishable food, drop off a few cans at the door." And
Hmm.
usually a food pantry, a food bank, a local church, any kind there's somebody in the neighborhood wherever you're doing it that can use some help. And there's people nearby that are already there helping. And the beautiful thing is that you can make music that makes a difference, which means that you're just doing what you're going to do anyways, which is to play the music and to share your passion. But now you can do it to help others as well, and it's really easy. And a lot of times they'll just bring a barrel over for you, set it at the door. So it's not even an inconvenience to you at all. You know, my wife's taking and dropping off because it's not far from here and it's easy.
Right.
Um, but they'll come pick up even these people, we get them all the time. We'll just say, "Hey, we're going to do a food drive. Can you be there at this time to just pick it up?" And they will be there because we can raise a lot of food that way. We've raised, I think last year we did almost 60,000, no, 40, no, that was 60, almost 50, 47,000 pounds of food, at the door. That's not
Wow.
including, yeah, that's just people bringing rice and beans and stuff and sitting them down at the door when they come into the venue. But then we also have merchandise sales and raffles, and we have stuff like that to raise for protein. And we buy chicken because we can get we get a 20-pound box of chicken for about $20 actually now. No, $22 for 20. So it's pretty good. Um, And we
That-
buy chicken and things for the orphanages, but I'm not as involved in all that. I'm involved. I do the music part of it, and then my wife and, volunteers and stuff take care of the other half of it. Well, there you go.
that's awesome, man. That's a huge blessing for the community for sure, man. That's
Yeah. And it's
yeah.
music. It's, bringing people together, and we always say music and meals heal.
Amen. For sure.
Yeah.
Is there a website for the Blues for Hunger?
Yeah, Blues Against Hunger.
Blues Against Hunger.
Yep, .org.
Okay.
That's it. Just say it out and put an org on the end.
Awesome.
We
I'll definitely
we
link that in the description for everybody to go and check out for sure.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Is
So,
there any closing remarks you want to make before we end the recording?
you know what? If you don't know anything about carnivore, don't be scared because even a week of it won't hurt you. It'll help you. And I tell you what, like anything else, if there is a possibility of it having some good and some positive and a benefit to yourself, those around you in the world, why wouldn't you give it a try? Quite frankly. And from what I've seen, for being in it such a short time, but staying strict to it, is that the effects of it are almost immediate. So for anybody doubting it, just give yourself a little faith. Know that it won't hurt you. Know that you probably do more harm to good to yourself on other diets other than this diet, because this isn't a diet. This is simply a change in the way that you eat to improve your life. And you know what else is interesting about it? This is not a diet where you're worried about what you're eating. It's more about what you don't eat, which is to just get rid of all the stuff and stick to the basics for a very short time and look at the benefits. If it works for you, then you can decide to continue, to stop, or to augment it, to toss in some nuts and fruit occasionally. You know, in my view, the carnivore diet works for me as it is currently because I'm on a very specific goal. But I also believe that the carnivore diet comes from the idea of our ancestors and going back to the basics of hunting and gathering, and get rid of everything that's been created by man since then, and stick to the things that were created through nature or God or whatever your view is. Stick to those for a while, and you're going to come out ahead every single time. So there you go.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. And we can all do something for at least 30 days just to see if it works.
Yeah, 7 days. Give it a week.
Right. Yeah. True.
1 week.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely going to see results in 7 days for sure.
You absolutely will, and it's enough that it's doable by anybody that really. If anybody that is even thinking about this and wants to do it, if you can't do 7 days, shut the hell up and go back to your donut. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like, you don't really care, you don't really want to. I mean, because
Right.
that ain't nothing. Uh, that ain't
Yep.
nothing. Put the donut down, shut your mouth for 7 days.
Yep.
Who can't do that? Come on.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I love it. Well,
Alright.
Six, I truly appreciate your time. I appreciate your insight and your wisdom. I look forward to more of your YouTube videos.
Thank you.
If
Yeah, me
anybody
too.
hasn't seen his latest YouTube video about his portable medicine cabinet, you need to go check that out now. That's truly incredible. I shared similar results, or I have similar results as he did. I haven't shared it with anybody, but yeah, his story with that is
Amazing.
absolutely amazing.
And you know what? That was spur of the moment because it was like, "I can't believe this. I haven't even been in here." I was like, "Hey, honey, check this out." Because that because I literally carry this freaking thing everywhere I go. Because but now I don't have any. See, it's not even in the bag anymore. I don't need it anymore. It's crap.
Right, it's just a prop now.
It's just a prop. So, thank you very much.
Awesome. All right, Six. Well, we'll talk
Take care.
soon.
Stay
Yep.
healthy.
See you too. The physical and mental health benefits of the carnivore lifestyle seem to be limitless. Folks, your positive comments and encouragement mean the world to me, and they inspire me to create even more fun and exciting content for you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and hit that like button. It really helps the video reach more awesome people just like yourself and spreads the positivity we all need. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel so you don't miss out on all the fun adventures in the future. Lastly, I want to give a huge shout out to those that have already subscribed. Thank you so, so much. I truly appreciate you. Remember, positivity and kindness are contagious, so let's spread it around like confetti. Thank you again. And until next time, stay amazing and stay tuned for more fun on this channel. Bye for now.